just as the true meaning of the gate of Nun, death, could not really be contemplated without considering the opposite and complementary gate of Lamed, justice. This card, the devil, has to be considered in respect of its opposite and complementary gate of Yod, the hermit. We have already discovered that Yod was not exactly what it first seemed, and how the letter was closely associated to the planet Saturn and the god El. Therefore, we might naturally assume that the devil is the natural adversary to God as the main protagonist, a devil that is a foil to his divinity. While Old Father Time is wise, the devil is portrayed as a foolhardy and imbecilic figure in most decks except Crowley's. There is a certain feeling that perhaps the creators of the cards did not go far enough in considering what relationship might lie between these two paths beyond the rather obvious and disappointing dualism between good and evil. After all, justice is an integral part of both this life and the afterlife when it came to Lamed and Nun, but if we simply consider the devil to be the polar opposite to God, court adjourned, case dismissed, then we may miss a deeper correspondence here, because such a dualism is not a philosophical necessity, and neither does it explain why the devil has the freedom of the Garden of Eden. Saturn is again of significance to this path, and Crowley made a thorough study of its correspondences. The letter Ain means an eye, and the tarot card referred to Capricornus in the zodiac, which is ruled by Saturn. Eliphas Levi identified this card with Baphomet, the ass-headed idol of the Knights Templar, and early Christians were accused of worshipping an ass or ass-headed god, according to Browning, the ring in the book. And the associations with the ass correspond with the gate Ein Resh Dalet, which is called Arad in the Bible, and was a place identified as being to the south of Israel, but which they destroyed. From Numbers 21, 1-3. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming along the road to Atarim, he attacked the Israelites and captured some of them. Then Israel made this vow to the Lord: "If you will deliver these people into our hands, we will totally destroy their cities." The Lord listened to Israel's plea, and he gave the Canaanites over to them. They completely destroyed them and their towns, so the place was named Homa. The association with the south, and with the ass, suggests that Arad were worshippers of the Semitic and Egyptian ass-headed god Set, who is the god of the deserts and the god of the south, and his name is consonant with Saturn, Shaitan, and Satan. Like El, Set was worshipped in the mountains, and there is a creative aspiration towards the spiritual in this card, which is realised in its opposite, but below the solar palace this aspiration becomes manifest in the most material of forms. The renaming of the town of Arad to Homa means that it has a gematria value of 253, which doesn't appear to have any significance. However, the first three letters of the name number to 248, and that is of significance. The name of God's adversary is Satan, which numbers to 62. A doubling of the god El's 31, just as Adam's 45 is doubled to 90 in the letter of Zadi. Crowley associated this card with the god Pan, and said he was the Himalayan goat, with the eye in the centre of his forehead, and moreover he claimed there was an association between the three vowel consonants of the Hebrew alphabet with the sacred name of the god I-A-O. So along with the cards of the Fool and the Hermit, he suggests a threefold explanation of the male creative energy, which is rough, dark, even blind. The impulse to create takes no account of reason, custom or foresight. It is divinely unscrupulous, sublimely careless of result." Unquote. From this we begin to get some idea of exactly what it is about the devil, which is God in his most material and creative manifestation, that was the problem and the issue of former generations with this path. And it is the idea that there is a need for society to keep a lid on the rampant testosterone of the male of the species, and the associated fear that without the prop, the threat, and the curb of society, then the natural man will be quite unable to help himself from going wild and raping all the females around him willy-nilly, while attempting to kill off the competition. That the natural man, unless he is in some fashion genetically defective or psychologically damaged by society, is as able to keep his creative lusts in balance as the natural woman does, seems not to have occurred to previous generations, but we moderns understand that it is the repression and subjugation of the sexual energies that cause them to build up and explode dangerously, and so our sexual and psychological revolution towards emancipation proceeds on, regardless of the fearful repressive backlash of those that still cling to the narrow-minded view of sexual ethics belonging to previous generations. However, I digress. The eye in this card is an obvious reference to the opening meatus of the penis that bears witness, which is gate ein dalet, to the moment of creation, and it is the hard wood, a sexual allusion to the engorged phallus from the earliest of times, of the cedar, which is gate ein resh, with its deep, rich, masculine aroma that covered the walls and ceiling of the first temple. The relation of this path to the Garden of Eden is found in the correspondence of the ein resh, R in English, between the watery emissions from the head of the penis and the head of the fourfold river that exits from Eden and is alluded to in Numbers 21:15. And the stream of the brooks, which turneth into the dwelling of Ar, and inclineth towards the border of Moab.